Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Tay with another episode of Late Night Latte with Dr. Tay. Thank you so much for joining us. Please click share on your timelines, invite the folks on your timelines into this interview. It's definitely going to be awesome. It's a topic that I think is really important for a lot of folks. I'm going to try bringing on our guest. Right now, we had a few difficulties earlier, but still not letting me bring. Oh, there we go. Okay. Should be coming on shortly. Any day now, Facebook. Well, while we're waiting for him to come onto the screen, I encourage everyone to click share to your timelines. We're going to be talking about dreams versus reality, and I'm going to get into that in a few seconds as to what that means, what I mean by that, and how that relates to our interview for the evening. G, I think you should have received a prompt to join the broadcast. You accepted, and it says adding, so we're just waiting, I guess. Okay. No answer from live video guest. That's what it says. So let's see here. Let's try again, G.
Is
Here
that
we
better?
go. Yes, that is
Sorry.
better. Welcome to Late Night Latte.
Thank you.
Everyone,
Thank
this
you.
is Giscard Chéry. This is a brother of mine for a few years. We actually used to work together on a radio show that we co-hosted. But I thought that he would be a really good person to talk about this dreams versus reality topic based on some conversations that we've had in the past. But I'm not going to tell you all about him. That's what he's here for, to tell you all about himself. So, and I introduced him as Giscard because that is his government name, but I know him as G
Yes.
Dot. So from here on out, he's G Dot. So introducing to
Right.
all of you, G Dot. How are you, bro?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you enjoying your vacation?
Good.
You're even working on vacation. I like that.
Well, I didn't tell folks that I was on vacation, but since you wanted to
Oh,
let
I'm
the cat out of the
sorry.
bag, yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm
I'm on
sorry.
vacation. Yes, I'm on vacation. So far, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm really enjoying myself. It's been a while since I've been on vacation, and like
Okay, good.
maybe 11 years since I've been out of the country. So it's good.
Wow. Okay.
Um, so tell us who you are and what you do.
So, so Giscard is a husband, a father. He works I work in the financial industry. By day, it's a career that I've had for the last 10 years or so. G
Hmm.
Dot, G Dot would be a lover of television production, of music production, of DJing, of being a radio personality, of podcasts, of so that's G Dot. That's just card in the day, and G Dot would be me at night, I guess. Is the best way I could describe it.
You have to be
The G Dot
careful. You're
side.
speaking to a psychologist. So you're speaking to a psychologist. So I might have to diagnose you with multiple personalities. You got to be careful with
Okay.
that.
I am a Gemini, so that's that whole split personality thing, you know.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough.
So, um, but yeah, and obviously we're going to talk about your dreams as opposed to doing what you got to do at the moment. And I think Giscard would be the one that's doing what he's got to do, and G Dot is the one that's chasing the dreams. But we'll get into it, obviously.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting.
So,
Okay. So there's kind of like you have this not a split personality, but this duality
no,
because you have the part of you
yes.
that is. You said no. Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. All right. So there's a bit of a delay. I'm not sure why. Um, so tell me a little bit about that duality. Like, were you ever, to use a clinical term, integrated? Like, where your dreams, the dream chaser was synonymous with the person who's doing what he has to do.
So I mean, video production is always something that I wanted to do. Something I always had a
Mhm.
passion for, straight out of high school. I did it in college when I was here in the city, and also when I transferred upstate. And I follow that dream till this very day. I'm in my basement right now, which has a bunch of equipment to do video and radio and podcasts and what have you. And this is
Nice.
my little man cave where I like to do those things as G Dot. So I never let go of that dream per se.
Okay.
But many moons ago, an opportunity presented itself for me to start a career in the financial industry. And 10 years ago next month, um, I
Wow.
kind of jumped on it, and I'm still doing it. It's gratifying at times. I help
Mm.
people, which you know, a lot of times when people leave my office, and I realize that I've helped them in a way, whether it be achieving financial goals or protecting their assets or what have you. When I look at it that way, it's something that it comes with gratification at times. So, you know, and it also helps to keep the roof over my head and my kids' head. So,
Of course. Yeah. That's important. That's really important. Um,
absolutely.
so I mean, we've spoken at length about a number of topics, but one thing that I remember, and I don't know if you mentioned it on air or not, and I don't know what
Hmm.
the topic was on the radio show, but we
Right.
were talking about, if we could be anything we wanted to be, or like a dream field or dream career. You mentioned teaching, and I was like, "Ooh, Scooby Doo face," because that's not what you do, and it's not even one of the things that you mentioned as far as chasing your dreams. So
Right.
tell us about that dream of being a teacher and why it remains just a dream and not something that you're actively engaging in.
It's a dream of mine, but it's something that I feel that I could do down the line. My dad's a teacher, and you know, I think my career path has so far been mirroring my father's career path. He was in the financial
Mm,
industry for 20 years at New York Life, and you know, I didn't purposely get in the financial industry 10 years ago. My dad was the first person on my mind when the opportunity presented itself, but it kind of seems like I'm kind of mirroring that. The first time I thought about teaching, though, I was still in college and I was still doing the television production thing, and I had the opportunity to film some teachers, some teaching students, I guess teachers to be, for lack of a better term,
mhm.
or studying to become teachers. And I was watching it and I was like, okay, these are what I would say are leaders of tomorrow, right? There's these people that are going to be um, teaching our children, teaching whether it be grade school or what have you. I'm like, this is kind of cool. These are the people that are going to be molding the minds of the future, so to speak. And that always stuck with
Right.
me,
Mm.
watching them do that. And afterwards, when the class was over, I tried to pick the brain of a few of the students, like, hey, what made you want to become a teacher in the first place? And it was like, the stigma that comes with being a teacher, they don't get paid very well. So, it's
Mm.
something that's driving someone to become a teacher. There's something there, right? There's a fire, or there's something that wants
Right.
them to help and mold and teach people. So, I kind of found that kind of cool. And ever since then, I've kind of kept that sort of in my mind, so to speak. And it's something I do want to pursue. I probably would want to pursue that later on, though, because I'm not too
Okay.
sure if I wanted to teach adolescents or if I wanted to teach young adults as far as college students. I'm not sure yet, but it's
Okay.
definitely something that I do want to attempt to do. So
Okay. You saying that reminds me of, I believe it's Langston Hughes, A Dream
okay,
Deferred. And it's just like, and I think this is the case with a lot of folks where we have these dreams, and, some people might think they're grandiose,
hmm,
but they're things that are based on our passion and things that we love, but we put them aside and we wait for whatever reasons. So
right,
why have you decided to put that off? Because that's something that transpired in college, and we're both pretty far removed from college. Like,
yes.
why kind of finagle that and make that the means by which you keep a roof over your head, instead of getting into something that is lucrative and you enjoy, but doesn't really, ignite the fire that's in you.
Well, so like I said, so 10 years ago, the financial industry thing was an opportunity, and I use that
Okay.
because a lot of times young black males don't get an opportunity, and I look back on it now, and it was a friend of mine who gave me an opportunity to go work at a bank, a Washington Mutual, which is no longer exists, And
Mm-hmm.
to be able to have that on my resume, and then fast forward to when I was done with undergrad, I walked into a branch of the financial institution where I currently work and just handed them my resume. And the fact that I had that on my resume, that I used to work for Washington Mutual, I got the job. And at the time, and I got my undergrad in communications, television production, and I had the opportunity to pick the brain of some ESPN employees because I did some work for them as an intern. And it told me, stick to it, don't ever give up on it. But it's a long process. It's like it's something that and it's a lot of traveling. I worked the Monday Night Football game, and the staff kind of took me under the wing. Was like, hey, if there's something that you want to do, they kind of broke it down to me, and it's a lot of traveling and this and that. Can't really have a family, so that was always in the back of my mind too, as far as not
Right.
being able to have a family and what have you. So back to the banking, the opportunity came up for me to start there, and I've been doing it for 10 years, and I got really good at it, and I've been able to help a lot of families. I've been able to help a lot of people, and I made a career out of it. So, yes, at one point, I would love to kind of say, you know what, I've done what I needed to do. Maybe my kids are well off and they're going to college or what have you, and I don't have to worry about kind of holding their hand anymore. Let me take a stab at
Mm-hmm.
teaching, or let me take a stab at radio or full time, or let me take a stab at something else full time. But for people out there, I want to say this though, that we have more entrepreneurs and more opportunities now than ever before with social media, with there's many different avenues, so you can wear many
Right.
hats. Dr. Tate, I know you specifically wear many hats, so
Sometimes too many.
yeah, opportunity. No, listen, you're great at what you do, so the opportunity is there. So and like I said, I haven't given up on teaching. It's something that I do want to do at some point.
Okay. And what I heard you say is that basically you made the decision based on your life goals, not necessarily your career goals, because you knew that you
Yes.
wouldn't, or it would be difficult for you to start a family and be around your family. So you made this decision. And I think it's important for us to realize the importance of balance, balancing our career goals and our life goals, because they're not always the same. There's not always going to be like
Correct.
seamless continuation. So,
Mm-hmm.
tell us a little bit about that and how your decision to work in the financial industry, um, I guess, affected your your building of your family and your time with your family, etc.
Mm-hmm. So even today, my office currently is in the same town where I live. So when you have two young kids, that's a plus, right? For
Absolutely.
people that have kids, and if you got an emergency, you got to be able to run away from work. The fact that I live so close to home is a plus because
Hmm.
I could tell you if I didn't have kids right now, I'd probably make that leap of faith to do teaching now.
Hmm.
But you take a lot of things into consideration. You take finances; it's a big consideration, obviously. And it's something that me and my wife sat down and we spoke about. Um, but banking is gratifying, because I'm helping people. There's his days, his lulls, I guess, for lack of a better term, his ebbs and flows to what I do. Um,
Right.
but yeah, you have to be when you're making decisions now as a family man. 'Cause I'm not alone. You got to take everybody into consideration. So it's not like, yeah, let's even whether it's moving to another state. We've discussed that before as well. All these decisions are family based now. So it's something that
Right.
we make a decision together. It's not something I do alone. So
Right. And that's another big issue. Not only do
yeah,
you have to, or rather, should you, because not everyone makes these, consults their spouse or family members, etc., about these major
it
life
should.
decisions. Also, having support, like you
Yeah.
said, you sat down with Mrs. Chéry, the queen of the household.
Yes.
You sat down
I
with
did.
you sat down with her, you spoke to her about it, and there's
Mm.
an aspect of support there, and that's important as well. Having the support of people around you, but I think there are two sides, because sometimes we have these dreams that people just don't understand. So if we share it with
Yeah.
folks and they're going to be like, no, you don't like make enough money, or no, that's not lucrative. No, you're not going to be able to reach as many people as you think. So in one aspect, having family is important because they support your dreams. But then there are other times when even though your family is there, you're going to have to go it alone because you know that it's a dream that you have, or you know that it's a God-given calling. And even though they might not see what the outcome is going to be,
Hmm.
there, you know, you have to kind of just push beyond that. Have you ever experienced that with your wife or any of your other family members with regard to any
Well,
of
yeah,
your?
my dad is. I've had this conversation with my dad. He's real supportive. He laughs when he realizes that I'm kind of following his career path as far as the financial industry too, and maybe at some point teaching. Um, but yeah, he was real supportive of it. He was like, "Listen, we looked at the numbers because listen, we all have bills to pay. We looked at the numbers and we understood that the financial support that it would take for me to be able to, you know what, we're going to start from here and try to start this new career. So it's not something, like I said, that I'm ready to do right now, but it's something that
Right.
I definitely want to do at some point. So, but I
Okay.
definitely had that conversation with mom, with dad, with cousins, with younger cousins who maybe 10, 15, when 10, 15 years ago when I was an undergrad student, and maybe if I had that conversation with someone that, hey, maybe I would have done the teaching right away. So I talked to them,
Mhm.
hey, listen, you have to keep in mind, I have a sister of mine that's, just finished college, and I talked to her about, hey, listen, that degree is a door opener for you. And not
Right.
everybody gets to do a full-time job in something that they studied in, and that's okay, right? That's definitely okay. But you want to make sure that you use that degree to get the opportunities, and that's why I always go back to that word. So,
Right. Opportunities are huge, and I just look back on the different opportunities that I was afforded. Like there are certain jobs where they're not even on my resume or my CV anymore because they're not relevant to what I'm
relevant,
doing.
right?
But
Correct.
for that time, it was really good for me to engage in that. Like I think it was my freshman year. No, it was my senior year of high school. So I was about to go to college. I worked for CNN. Most times I forget that I work for CNN because it has nothing to
Wow.
do with psychology. But the fact that it
Mm-hmm.
was on my resume, it showed that, there was a certain degree of work ethic. Clearly, there was something about me that this major company, liked and wanted, made them want to employ me. So, you're
Sure.
you're absolutely right about that. And it seems like that's kind of something that happened with you. Like your degree is in production,
Communications, right?
right?
Television production, right?
Yeah, communications,
Yes.
right? Your degree is in communications, but you're in finance. But you know what? It's okay. Like we don't have to just have one passion or one thing that we're good at or one thing that we're interested in. And that's also
Hmm.
important. I think that you can kind of again balance. So like you mentioned that you do finance, that's your 9 to 5, but you're also an
Right.
entrepreneur. So
Yes.
what do you do? And is that how you kind of bring in your other passions?
Well, sure. And let me also say that working for a large financial institution, they do have many different departments where my degree could come into play in the
Mm,
future. I've talked to different individuals about the communications department, the marketing department. They do have an ad company that they use, but I've tried to put my 2 cents into certain things. So and like I said, I had this conversation with my sister. Your degree may come into play later. You just need your foot in the
mm,
door. And so
right,
I've always stuck to that. I've always kept to that, and I will continue to look for those opportunities. But you were saying as far as my G dot, my what I'm doing outside of that,
right.
as you were referring to.
Mhm.
I've always wanted to, when I came home, work on this television production or radio production or the podcast or the radio field. That's something that I'm always going to do. That's something that I have the passion for. It's something that you don't need to work for anybody to do it. I do projects
Right.
all the time for individuals, and it's something
Hmm.
that I'm passionate about. I'll do it for free, and I've done it for free, and I'm good enough to do it now while I can get paid to do it. So
Hmm.
everyone wants different avenues of income. So I'm very
Absolutely.
happy with the way that's turned out. So,
Okay. So what exactly are you doing right now? Like what project are you working
so
on? Is
currently, the
G
biggest
dot
project we're doing
on?
right now, currently the biggest project we're doing right now is called Watch More Sports. It's a sports podcast, and I was sitting with some friends one day, and I was like, there aren't that many, but the exception of, the occasional show on ESPN, there aren't many African American males that get to voice their opinion on sports. We do it at the barbershops, we do it,
Right.
at the playgrounds, but, we're not taking advantage of this medium, which is social media, and putting it out there. And you can monetize that, absolutely. So one day we
Hmm.
decided, you know what, we're going to get a couple of us together. I already had most of the equipment already. And so we do
Right.
this weekly show online that's on Lou Danger Media. Shout out to my business partner. And we're taking a hiatus right now because the summertime is pretty slow when it comes to sports. But it's called Watch More Sports. You can YouTube it. Our YouTube channel's on there. We're working for this fall to have our own web internet web page, and so it'll be directly on a private page, and we'll be able to monetize it. So
Nice. Awesome,
yes,
awesome, awesome. And I know, I mean, in addition to this being your passion, I know this is something that you're good at, based on experience. We used to
yes.
co
Thank
um
you.
yeah, yeah, that was really an experience. That was actually my first time in radio, and I really came to love it. And it's just an amazing feeling when you can do something that you love
Yes,
and
absolutely.
be able to keep the roof over the head, or at least pay some ballet classes because you have
Sure.
two daughters, and that dance
Absolutely.
class is definitely going to come into play at some point. um,
Absolutely.
but it's really helpful. Like, what do they say? If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
That's right.
So it
That's right.
sounds like right now you're in that in between space. Like,
Hmm.
you love what you do,
I do.
but it's not that passion. So right now you're just trying to,
Mesh it all
integrate
together.
all.
Correct.
Right, mesh it all together and try not
Hmm.
to lose your mind and feel like you do have multiple personalities.
And listen, if I can turn Watch More Sports into that media conglomerate where it does have enough income where I can leave more where I'm currently at. I hope nobody's watching from there. But and then hey, I would absolutely do that. Being able to monetize something that you love to do, that's the greatest. Like you just said, you won't be working a day in your life. So, and I do
Right.
want to applaud your host from last week, how she was able to become a CEO of her own a makeup line. She's a makeup artist, if I'm not mistaken.
She's a makeup
And
artist.
how
Hmm.
that story, right? That story that she had about the individual that offered her the job, like right, or in the interview while she was in the car. That was a great story. So
Yeah, that was really, really powerful. Like, she had just
right,
gotten fired from a job that had nothing to do with what she loved. But it's just
correct.
like, that's not even right place, right time. That's just divine intervention.
Yeah, I
Like,
know, right?
someone,
Absolutely.
you know,
Which is why
just
you
like
never
when we
give
were
up. You never give up on that dream. You never give up on that goal. You never know when the
on.
opportunity will knock. So
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's so important. And that's why I wanted to bring you on because, based on the conversations that we've had, you kind of have
mhm.
that background,
Yeah.
how that tends to happen. My mom logged on. Hi, mommy. And Miss
Hi.
Tanya. Hi, Miss Tanya. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, I think this is a good place to wrap up, and you've been kind
Hmm.
of infusing nuggets throughout the interview, but what are
Okay.
some points of inspiration or encouragement that you want to share with folks?
So, like I said earlier, this in 2018 today, there are more opportunities for entrepreneurs than ever before. There are more mediums than ever before for you to get your business out there, for you to get your craft out there, whether it's makeup, whether it's hair, whether it's video production, whether it's you mentoring someone, whether it's you, Shantae, giving somebody advice. You can put your craft and what you do anywhere and monetize it, right? So we have people that are becoming really millionaires off of what they do on Instagram.
Right.
Many moons ago, they frowned at young black men for lining up around the corner to purchase sneakers. I had a client of mine in my office the other day, 21-year-old kid who makes $150,000 a year selling sneakers. And I saw his financials. I've seen his financials, 150K a year selling sneakers. So for all my young black men out there, when they pointed their finger and wagged their finger at you for stop buying these expensive shoes, if you're monetizing it, if you're flipping the sneak, listen, America, it is America. You can make money doing anything in America as long as
This
you
is
follow the law,
America.
right? So my suggestion to everyone is follow those dreams. Don't ever give up on them. And if you're doing something that you didn't necessarily think you're going to be doing at the time, you can still do what it is that you love to do, as a second stream of income, as a third stream of income, whatever it is that you love and have the passion for, don't ever give up on that. Please continue to do it. That would be my address for today.
No, that's so important, and thank you for sharing with people. I think that what makes these words of encouragement and words of inspiration stick is when they
Mhm.
come from people who have experienced it, people who
Yeah.
have lived it, who have gone through it. It's just like, when I was when oh, sorry. I'm on vacation with my line sisters, so one has been sitting in here the whole
Hey.
time. But like when I was doing my externship at Rikers, yes, it was part of my field, but there was a certain area that I could not touch because I had never been incarcerated, because I had never been there.
Right.
But when someone has gone through something, especially if it's very similar to what you've gone through, I think
Mhm.
it strikes a different chord. So someone who's kind of, in that holding pattern, like I'm doing something that I enjoy, but it's not what I love. And, I think what you said can really resonate with them, because not everyone is blessed enough to be doing something that they love. Like it took me a while to get to be Dr. Tay. I haven't
Right.
always, been able to sit down and listen to people's problems and give them my opinion, because essentially that's what I do. I mean, that simplifies it. But, I had to work at CNN. There were jobs that weren't really related to what I wanted to do. But like you said, you have this degree and you'll use it eventually, but you have to create
Correct.
those opportunities. And that's another thing. Like, don't give up on the dream, but also don't don't just sit there, because opportunity isn't always going to come knock. Sometimes you have to
Yeah.
go knock on the door of opportunity so that it opens. Like you have to create those lanes for yourself, and that's what you're doing with Watch More Sports. You see that there's a market, so you created
Absolutely.
that opportunity for yourself. You
Hmm.
created that lane, and I think that's really, really important as far as pursuing your dreams. There's a certain degree of work that has to go in as well. So I think
Yeah.
that your inspirational nugget is really,
Thank you.
really, really important. My cousin Sonia just tuned in. Hi, cousin Sonia. uh, so we're going to wrap up, but I want to thank you so, so much, G,
Thank
for
you for having me.
logging on
Sure.
and being my guest for the week. I want to make sure that all of you know his social media information. So definitely tune in to Watch More Sports when they come back from hiatus.
Yes.
Watch More Sports, no special spellings or anything, and also follow G Dot on social media. Uh, G Dot, like the letter G,
Radio.
DOTT Radio. Yes,
Yep.
that's a very good handle that you have there. Um, but I yeah, when we were working for the radio show, I kind of managed social media as well. But G Dot Radio, so you can follow all things, so that you can follow all things G Dot, and also get more information about Watch More Sports when they come back. I might even make an appearance on there, not because I know
We're gonna
anything
get you
about
on today.
sports.
We're gonna get you on. We're gonna get you on.
I don't know
Absolutely.
how. Like, I don't know how you're gonna finagle that. Like,
Listen, we'll,
I'm.
we'll make it happen. Don't worry. We're
You remember on the
brainstorming right
show
now. Don't
when you
worry. We'll
guys were
get there.
talking about sports? I was just like, doo, doo, doo.
Listen,
But
maybe
I'm
you
looking
can
forward to it.
psychoanalyze one of these players out here. Whatever, LeBron, whoever, doesn't matter.
I'm glad you said it, because
See?
I was gonna throw that name out there. Just saying. But we'll save that
Oh,
for a
don't
while.
go there with me today, please.
I'm saying.
we're,
When I get back
we're gonna
home,
end
I'm
on
gonna
that
have to buy a
note.
broom to commemorate the.
Oh God. All right, it's fine. I've been dealing with it last week. It's fine.
I'm sure,
It's
as you
fine.
should be,
Hmm. It is what it is.
as you
Thank
should
God we're on
be.
hiatus.
Hmm. What'd you say?
No, I said thank God we're on
Oh
hiatus.
wait,
Thank God the show's on hiatus.
I was just about to say things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
Now you don't
Yes.
have to deal with the backlash. Not on
Tell
air
me about it.
anyway. But thank you so much,
Yes,
G
but
Dot. I really enjoyed chatting with you. And when Watch More Sports comes back on, maybe I can get you on or do a drop or something, so you can tell everyone a little bit more
sure.
about the podcast and all of that. I'm really excited for you. Excited. for what's next. For what's next. Maybe when the
Thank you.
girls get
Thank you. I
older,
appreciate it.
we'll both be teaching. So you never know.
There you go. And it
So
is G Dot
please tell
Radio
your
on Twitter and IG.
yes, Twitter and IG, G.radio, absolutely.
Yes.
And make sure that my mommy, there's two T's. There's mommy says all the best, G dot.
Thank you,
But
Mom.
give your wife all my love and hug
Will
the
do.
girls up for me. And thank you so much. Thank you so
No
much. And all
problem.
of you who are watching, I appreciate you tuning in. Those of you who are watching the replay, make sure that you follow G Dot on social media as well. And tune in next week, Tuesday at 10 p.m. for another episode of Late Night Latte with Dr. Tay. Have a great one, everyone. Signing off.
Hi, guys.